The incident. It was a warm summer day in Central Park, New York. The sun shone brightly, and the air buzzed with the sounds of children playing. Among them was 8-year-old Emily Johnson, her blonde pigtails bouncing as she chased a butterfly. Little did Emily know that high above Earth's atmosphere, an alien ship was approaching. The massive vessel belonged to the Zirconian Empire, a powerful force that ruled most of the Milky Way galaxy. They had never bothered with Earth before, seeing it as a primitive planet not worth their time. As Emily giggled, trying to catch the colorful insect, a blinding light suddenly filled the sky. The alien ship broke through the clouds, its sleek, dark form casting an ominous shadow over the park. People stopped and stared, their mouths hanging open in shock and awe. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever seen. It was twice the size of the Empire State Building, with strange symbols etched into its metallic surface. As it descended, a hush fell over the crowd. Even the birds stopped chirping. Emily stood frozen, her small hand shielding her eyes from the bright lights of the ship. Her parents, John and Sarah Johnson, rushed towards her, fear etched on their faces. "Emily!" Sarah cried out, reaching for her daughter. But before they could reach her, a beam of light shot down from the ship, engulfing Emily. Her parents watched in horror as their little girl was lifted off the ground, suspended in midair by the strange light. Panic erupted in the park. People screamed and ran in all directions. Some brave souls whipped out their phones, recording the unbelievable scene unfolding before them. From the ship, a group of alien beings materialized on the ground. They were tall, at least 7 feet in height, with bluish-gray skin and large black eyes. Their bodies were covered in what looked like advanced armor, glowing with an eerie blue light. One of the aliens, clearly the leader, stepped forward. Its voice boomed across the park, speaking in perfect English. "Humans," it said, "we are the Zirconians. Your planet has been chosen for colonization. Resist, and you will be eliminated." John Johnson, his face red with anger and fear, shouted at the alien leader, "Let our daughter go. She's just a child." The Zirconian leader turned its cold, emotionless eyes towards John. Without a word, it raised a strange-looking weapon. There was a flash of light, and Emily's small body fell to the ground, lifeless. Time seemed to stop. Sarah's agonized scream pierced the air as she ran towards her daughter's body. John stood rooted to the spot, his mind unable to process what had just happened. The alien leader spoke again, its voice devoid of any remorse. "This is the fate of those who defy the Zirconian Empire. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is laughable. Submit to our rule or face extinction." As quickly as they had appeared, the aliens beamed back to their ship. The massive vessel rose into the sky, leaving behind a scene of chaos and heartbreak. News of the incident spread like wildfire. Within hours, the whole world knew about the alien visit and the brutal murder of Emily Johnson. Governments around the globe scrambled to respond. The United Nations called an emergency session. Military forces worldwide were put on high alert. But amidst the political turmoil, it was the human story that captured the world's attention. Images of Emily, smiling in her school photo, were plastered across every news channel. The video of her death, captured by dozens of smartphones, was shared millions of times, despite efforts to suppress it. John and Sarah Johnson became the face of Earth's grief and rage. In an emotional interview that was broadcast globally, John, his voice shaking with anger, said, "They killed our little girl. They killed Emily. And for what? To make a point, to show how powerful they are." Sarah, tears streaming down her face, added, "Emily was everything to us. She was kind, she was smart, she was the future. And they took her away. They took away our future." The interview struck a chord with people around the world. Vigils for Emily were held not just in New York, but in cities across the globe. From Tokyo to London, from Rio to Moscow, people gathered to mourn the loss of one small girl and to stand in defiance against the alien threat. As night fell on that fateful day, the mood on Earth had shifted. The initial shock and fear were giving way to something else: determination. In homes, in offices, in bars and cafes, people were asking the same questions. How could they fight back? How could they protect themselves against such an advanced enemy? Little did the Zarkonian Empire know, but their act of cruelty had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity, faced with an existential threat, was about to show the galaxy what it was truly capable of. The death of Emily Johnson would not go unanswered. Earth was preparing to fight back, and the Empire would soon learn the cost of underestimating the human spirit. As dawn broke the next day, the headlines around the world all carried variations of the same message: Earth unites against alien threat. The stage was set for humanity's greatest challenge and its greatest triumph: Earth's grief and rage. The day after the alien attack in Central Park, Earth woke up to a new reality. The world had changed overnight, and humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. In New York City, the streets were eerily quiet. The usually bustling Times Square was nearly empty, its giant screens all showing the same image: Emily Johnson's school photo. Below it, in large letters, were the words "Never Forget." At the United Nations headquarters, an emergency session was underway. Leaders from around the world had gathered, their faces grim and determined. The Secretary General, a normally calm woman, spoke with barely contained anger. "Yesterday we witnessed an act of unspeakable cruelty," she said, her voice echoing in the silent chamber. "A child was murdered in cold blood. This is not just an attack on the United States. It is an attack on all of humanity." As she spoke, protests were erupting in cities across the globe. In London, thousands gathered in Trafalgar Square, holding candles and pictures of Emily. In Tokyo, students formed a human chain around the Imperial Palace, their silence more powerful than words. In Rio de Janeiro, the Christ the Redeemer statue was lit up in the colors of the American flag. Back in New York, John and Sarah Johnson, Emily's parents, made their way through a sea of reporters to a makeshift memorial in Central Park. The spot where Emily had died was now covered with flowers, teddy bears, and handwritten notes. Sarah knelt down, placing Emily's favorite doll among the tributes. "She loved that doll," Sarah said softly, tears streaming down her face. "She called her Starlight because she wanted to be an astronaut when she grew up." John, his face a mask of grief and anger, addressed the crowd. "Emily dreamed of exploring the stars," he said, his voice breaking. "Instead, the stars brought us monsters. But we will not let her death be in vain. We will fight back." His words were broadcast live around the world, igniting a fire in the hearts of millions. The hashtag for Emily started trending globally, with people sharing their own stories of loss and their determination to stand against the alien threat. In Washington, D.C., the president addressed the nation from the Oval Office. Her speech was short but powerful. "My fellow Americans, my fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady. "We have been attacked. We have been threatened. But we will not cower in fear. We will not submit. We are humanity, and we will fight." As she spoke, in secret facilities around the world, scientists and military experts were already working around the clock. They pored over the footage of the alien ship, analyzing every detail. In underground bunkers, world leaders met with top generals, planning Earth's defense. Dr. Amelia Chen, a brilliant physicist from MIT, made a startling discovery: the alien ship's energy signature. She explained to a room full of government officials. "It's unlike anything we've seen before, but I think we can replicate it." Her words sparked a glimmer of hope. If Earth could understand the alien technology, perhaps they could defend against it. Perhaps they could even use it. Meanwhile, in Silicon Valley, tech billionaire Elon Musk called an emergency meeting of his top engineers. "We need to think big," he told them. "Bigger than we've ever thought before. We're not just building rockets anymore. We're building humanity's survival. Across the world, a similar scene was playing out in every lab, every workshop, every garage. People were coming together, pooling their knowledge and resources. The attack had awakened something in humanity, a fierce determination to survive, to fight back. But it wasn't just about technology. The alien threat had done something unprecedented. It had united humanity. Old rivalries were set aside. Borders became meaningless in the face of this cosmic threat. In a historic moment, the leaders of China and the United States held a joint press conference. "We stand together," they declared. "All of Earth stands as one." Even in the Middle East, longtime enemies found common ground. Israeli and Palestinian leaders met, agreeing to a ceasefire and pledging to work together against the alien threat. As night fell on the second day, candlelight vigils were held around the world. In New York, millions gathered in Central Park, the sea of flickering lights visible from space. John and Sarah Johnson stood at the center, surrounded by a world united in grief and resolve. Sarah, holding a candle, spoke to the crowd. "Emily loved to watch the stars," she said. She would point to them and make up stories about the worlds she imagined were out there. She believed those worlds would be full of wonder and friendship. Her voice grew stronger as she continued. "The universe Emily imagined, the one full of hope and possibility, that's the universe we're going to fight for. Not just for Emily, but for all our children, for the future of humanity." As Sarah spoke, something remarkable happened. All around the world, at the same moment, people raised their lights to the sky. From space, Earth glowed with countless points of light, a defiant message to the stars. The message was clear. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the dying of the light, and they would do it together. As dawn broke on the third day since the attack, the headlines around the world reflected this new spirit of unity and defiance. "Earth stands united," they proclaimed. "Humanity prepares to fight back." The stage was set. Earth's grief had turned to rage, and that rage was fueling the greatest mobilization in human history. The Zarkonian Empire had made a grave mistake. They had awakened a sleeping giant, and the galaxy was about to learn just how fierce humanity could be when pushed to the brink. The awakening of humanity. As the first week after the alien attack drew to a close, humanity began to shake off its initial shock and grief. A new sense of purpose swept across the globe. The world was changing, and changing fast. In laboratories and workshops around the planet, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. They had a mission now, one that united them all: to advance human technology by leaps and bounds, as quickly as possible. Dr. Amelia Chen, the MIT physicist who had first identified the alien energy signature, now led a global team of researchers. They called themselves Project Phoenix, a symbol of humanity's determination to rise from the ashes of tragedy. "We're making progress," Dr. Chen announced in a worldwide broadcast. "We've managed to replicate a small version of the alien's energy field. It's not much yet, but it's a start." Her words sparked hope and excitement around the world. In response, governments poured more resources into research and development. The United Nations established a new agency, the Global Defense Initiative, GDI, to coordinate these efforts. Meanwhile, in Silicon Valley, tech companies were undergoing a revolution of their own. Elon Musk's emergency meeting had sparked a wave of innovation. Companies that once competed fiercely now worked together, sharing breakthroughs and resources. A young programmer named Raj Patel made a crucial discovery. Working late one night, fueled by coffee and determination, he cracked a small part of the alien communication code. "It's like nothing we've ever seen," Raj explained to his awestruck colleagues. "But at its core, it's still information. And if we can understand it, we can use it." This breakthrough led to rapid advancements in AI and quantum computing. Computers that would have taken decades to develop were now being built in months. But it wasn't just in labs and tech hubs that humanity was awakening. In cities and towns across the world, People were coming together in new ways. In New York, John and Sarah Johnson, still grieving for Emily, started a global movement called Starlight Guardians. Named after Emily's doll, the organization brought together families to support each other and to advocate for Earth's defense. "We're not soldiers or scientists," Sarah said at the first Starlight Guardians meeting, "but we're the reason they're fighting. We're what they're protecting. And we have a role to play too." The Starlight Guardians organized community preparedness programs, set up communication networks, and worked to keep morale high. Their symbol, a star with a child's face in the center, began appearing on buildings and billboards worldwide. In schools, the curriculum was rapidly changing. Children now learned about alien biology alongside human anatomy. Physics classes discussed the possibilities of faster-than-light travel. Every subject was viewed through the lens of humanity's new reality. Maria Gonzalez, a high school teacher in Mexico City, saw the change in her students firsthand. "They're not just learning," she said. "They're innovating. Yesterday, one of my students presented a theoretical design for a force field. She's 14 years old. Governments, too, were transforming. Old rivalries and conflicts seemed petty in the face of the cosmic threat. The United Nations Security Council was expanded, with every nation now having a voice in Earth's defense plans. In a historic moment, North and South Korea announced their full reunification. "We face a threat greater than any earthly divide." The joint statement read, "We stand stronger together." Similar scenes played out across the globe. India and Pakistan signed a comprehensive peace treaty. The Middle East formed a unified coalition. Africa's nations came together in an unprecedented show of continental unity. But perhaps the most remarkable changes were happening in everyday life. People began to view themselves not just as citizens of their countries, but as citizens of Earth. Language learning apps reported a surge in users. People were eager to communicate with their global neighbors. Cultural exchange programs flourished. The world's diversity, once a source of division, was now seen as humanity's strength. In orbit, the International Space Station became a symbol of this new unity. It was rapidly expanded, with modules from every spacefaring nation added in record time. The station was renamed Humanity's Hope, and it became the headquarters for Earth's budding space defense force. From Humanity's Hope, astronauts broadcast daily messages of unity and determination. Colonel Yuki Tanaka, the station's commander, became a global icon. Her daily sign-off, "For Earth, for Emily, for all of us," was repeated by millions around the world. As the first month since the attack came to a close, humanity had changed more than it had in the previous century. People walked with a new purpose, worked with a new determination, and dreamed with a new hope. In Central Park, at the site of Emily's memorial, a new monument was unveiled. It was a globe with the continents made up of millions of tiny lights. Each light represented a pledge from someone on Earth to stand united against the alien threat. John and Sarah Johnson were there for the unveiling. As they looked at the glowing globe, Sarah squeezed John's hand. "Emily would have loved this," she said softly. John nodded, his eyes fixed on the bright points of light. "She always wanted to see the whole world," he said. "And now, in a way, she has brought the whole world together." As night fell, the globe in Central Park shone brightly, a beacon of hope visible from space. And somewhere out there, the Zarkonian Empire watched, unaware that their act of cruelty had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity was awake, united, and preparing. The next move would be theirs, building the Armada. 6 months had passed since the tragic day in Central Park. The world had changed beyond recognition. Now, humanity was embarking on its most ambitious project yet, building an armada of 700,000 dreadnoughts. The decision to build such a massive fleet came after intense debate in the United Nations. Admiral Maria Rodriguez, newly appointed head of the Global Defense Initiative, GDI, made the final argument. "We don't just need to defend Earth," she said, her voice firm. "We need to take the fight to them." We need to show the galaxy that humanity is not to be trifled with. Her words resonated with leaders and citizens alike. The next day, Operation Starfall was announced to the world. The scale of the project was staggering. Every nation on Earth would contribute. Former car factories, shipyards, and aircraft plants were rapidly converted to build spacecraft. New facilities sprung up in deserts, tundras, and even under the oceans. In orbit, the expanded Humanity's Hope Station became the coordination center for the massive undertaking. Colonel Yuki Tanaka, now General Tanaka, oversaw the operation from space. "Every dreadnought we build is a message," Tanaka said in a global broadcast. "A message that says, we remember Emily, and we are coming." On the ground, millions of people found new purpose in the Armada project. Unemployed factory workers became spacecraft engineers. Students left school to join construction crews. Retirees came out of retirement to lend their expertise. In what was once a small fishing village in Norway, the world's largest spacecraft assembly plant took shape. Erik Olsen, a former fisherman, now led a team building engine cores. "I never thought I'd trade my boat for a spaceship," Erik said with a grin. "But here we are, fishing for stars." Similar stories played out around the globe. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal elders worked alongside astrophysicists to incorporate ancient navigation techniques into starship guidance systems. In the Amazon rainforest, biologists and indigenous tribes collaborated to develop self-sustaining ecosystems for long-range space travel. The heart of each dreadnought was its power core, based on the alien energy signature Dr. Amelia Chen had discovered. Chen, now leading a global team of physicists, had made the breakthrough they needed. "We've not just replicated their technology," Chen announced at a press conference. "We've improved it. Our cores are more stable, more powerful, and more efficient than anything the Zarkonians have." Her team's invention allowed the dreadnoughts to be smaller and faster than initially planned, without sacrificing power. This breakthrough meant they could build even more ships than the original 700,000 target. But the dreadnoughts weren't just weapons of war. Each ship was an ark of human culture and knowledge. Libraries were digitized and stored in each ship's database. Seeds from every plant species on Earth were included in special biovaults. Artists were commissioned to create works specifically for the Armada. Sarah Johnson, Emily's mother, led a project to include a personal item from a child in every dreadnought. "These ships carry our hopes, our dreams, and our memories," she said. "They carry a piece of every child on Earth, including Emily." The first dreadnought, fittingly named Emily's Star, was completed in record time. As it rose from its construction bay in Kazakhstan, cheers erupted around the world. People watched on screens in city squares, in classrooms, in living rooms, tears in their eyes as the massive ship climbed into the sky. Captain Jen Chen, chosen to lead Emily's Star, addressed the world from the ship's bridge. "This ship, and every ship that follows, carries the spirit of humanity," he said. "We are no longer bound to our world. The stars are now our ocean, and we will sail them proudly." As more dreadnoughts were completed, they formed a protective ring around Earth. Each day, the ring grew larger, a shimmering barrier of human determination visible from the surface. But building the ships was only part of the challenge. They needed crews. A global draft was instituted, calling for volunteers from every nation. The response was overwhelming. More people volunteered than could be accommodated. Training facilities were set up around the world. In the Gobi Desert, a massive city of simulators trained thousands of pilots simultaneously. Under the Atlantic Ocean, submariners taught space cadets how to live in enclosed environments for long periods. John Johnson, Emily's father, surprised everyone by volunteering. "I'm not a soldier," he said. "I'm not a scientist. But I'm a father, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect our future." His words inspired millions more to join the effort in whatever way they could. Those who couldn't serve on the ships contributed in other ways. Farmers worked to increase food production to supply the Armada. Teachers developed new curricula to prepare the next generation for life among the stars. As the number of completed dreadnoughts approached the halfway mark, humanity allowed itself a moment of pride. In less than a year, they had achieved what once seemed impossible. During a rare quiet moment on humanity's hope, General Tanaka looked down at the Earth, marveling at the ring of ships surrounding it. A junior officer approached her with a report. "General," the young woman said, her eyes shining with excitement, "we've just completed dreadnought number 350,000. We're halfway there." Tanaka nodded, a small smile on her face. "Halfway to the stars," she said softly. "Halfway to showing the galaxy who we really are." As she spoke, another dreadnought rose from Earth, joining its sisters in orbit. The armada grew, ship by ship, each one a testament to human resilience, innovation, and the unbreakable spirit of a species united in purpose. The Zarkonian Empire had no idea what was coming, but they were about to find out. The Galactic Standoff. 2 years had passed since the fateful day in Central Park. Earth's armada was complete, a staggering 700,000 dreadnoughts strong. The time had come to face the Zarkonian Empire. General Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge of humanity's hope, now the flagship of Earth's fleet. She looked out at the sea of ships stretching as far as the eye could see, each one a testament to human determination, each one carrying the hopes and dreams of billions. "It's time," she said softly. Then, squaring her shoulders, she gave the order that would echo across the stars. "All ships, prepare for jump. Operation Starfall is go." Across the solar system, the massive fleet came to life. Engines ignited, creating a light show that outshone the sun itself. Then, in a flash that seemed to bend reality, the armada vanished, leaving Earth's orbit for the first time. The jump took them to the edge of Zarkonian space. As the fleet reappeared, alarms blared across the Empire. The Zarkonians, who had dismissed Earth as a primitive backwater, suddenly found themselves facing the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen. On the Zarkonian capital world, Emperor Zoxlar received the news with disbelief. "Impossible," he growled, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly. How could those primitives have achieved this? But the evidence was undeniable. The Zarkonian Empire, which had ruled the galaxy unchallenged for millennia, now faced an existential threat. Back on the humanity's hope, General Tanaka prepared to send a message. But before she could, an incoming transmission caught everyone by surprise. It wasn't from the Zarkonians, but from another alien race. The Volcari, a species known for their neutrality, had decided to break their silence. Their ambassador, a being of shimmering energy, appeared on the main view screen. "Humans of Earth," the Volcari said, its voice resonating with an otherworldly tone. "Your arrival has shaken the foundations of the galaxy. We offer to mediate between you and the Zarkonian Empire." Tanaka exchanged glances with her advisors. This was unexpected, but it could be an opportunity. "We accept your offer," she replied, "but we have conditions." Meanwhile, news of Earth's armada spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Other races, long oppressed by the Zarkonians, saw a glimmer of hope. Some even sent secret messages of support to the humans. The Droxy, a race of master engineers, offered to upgrade Earth's weapons. The Kelthor, known for their psychic abilities, volunteered to train human telepaths. Suddenly, humanity found itself at the center of a complex web of galactic politics. Back on Earth, the mood was tense but optimistic. In what was once Central Park, now a sprawling command center, John and Sarah Johnson watched the events unfold on massive screens. "Emily would be proud," Sarah said, squeezing John's hand. "Look at what her sacrifice has achieved. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're changing the galaxy." John nodded, his eyes fixed on the screens. "I just hope we can do it without more bloodshed," he said softly. His words echoed the sentiment of many. Earth had built its armada as a deterrent, a show of strength. But now that they were here, Facing the vastness of the galaxy, the true complexity of their situation became clear. On the Zarkonian capital, Emperor Zoxlar was in a rage. "We will crush these upstarts," he bellowed, but his advisors were not so sure. The humans had achieved in 2 years what most races couldn't do in centuries. Who knew what other surprises they might have? As tensions rose, the Volcari called for a galactic council. Representatives from all major races would attend, including humans and Zarkonians. It would be a first time in galactic history that Earth had a seat at the table. General Tanaka was chosen to represent humanity. As she prepared to leave for the council, she received a special package from Earth. Inside was a small worn teddy bear, Emily's favorite toy. "To remind you what we're fighting for," the note read, signed by John and Sarah Johnson. Tanaka clutched the bear, feeling the weight of her responsibility. She was no longer just a military leader. She was the voice of humanity, carrying the hopes and fears of billions. As the council approached, the galaxy held its breath. The Zarkonians marshaled their forces, ready for war. Other races watched and waited, wondering which side to take. And caught in the middle were the humans, newcomers to the galactic stage, armed with determination and a fleet born of grief and rage. In a distant nebula, the Volcari prepared the council chambers. The room was a marvel of alien architecture, designed to accommodate species of all shapes and sizes. At its center stood a circular table, with the human and Zarkonian seats directly opposite each other. As the delegates began to arrive, the galactic media went into a frenzy. Images of the human fleet were broadcast across countless worlds. Many saw them as liberators, others as conquerors, but all agreed the galaxy would never be the same. On the eve of the council, General Tanaka stood alone on the observation deck of humanity's hope. In one hand she held Emily's teddy bear, in the other a hologram of Earth. As she looked out at the star-filled void, a single tear rolled down her cheek. "For Emily," she whispered, "for all of us." The stage was set. Humanity had risen from a tragedy on Earth to stand among the stars. Now they faced their greatest challenge yet, navigating the treacherous waters of galactic diplomacy with the fate of not just their world, but the entire galaxy hanging in the balance. The galactic standoff had begun, and its outcome would reshape the cosmos forever. The battle begins. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with tension. Representatives from a dozen alien races sat around the massive table, their eyes fixed on the two figures at its center, General Yuki Tanaka of Earth and Emperor Zoxlar of the Zarkonian Empire. The Volcari mediator, a being of pure energy, spoke first. "We are here to prevent a war that could tear our galaxy apart. Let us begin with." But Emperor Zoxlar cut him off. "There is nothing to discuss," he snarled, his multiple eyes glaring at Tanaka. "These humans are upstarts who need to be put in their place." Tanaka stood, her voice calm but firm. "We came here in peace, hoping for justice. But we are prepared for war if that's what you choose." As she spoke, she clutched Emily's teddy bear in her pocket, a reminder of why they were here. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A Volcari aide rushed in, his energy form flickering with distress. "The Zarkonian fleet is attacking the human armada." Chaos erupted in the council room. Zoxlar grinned, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Did you really think we'd let you threaten our power?" he hissed. Tanaka's eyes narrowed. Without a word, she turned and strode out of the chamber, already calling orders to her fleet. In space, the battle had begun. The Zarkonian ships, sleek and deadly, swarmed towards the human armada. But humanity was ready. Captain Jen Chen, commanding Emily's star, gave the order. "All ships, activate Chen shields." Across the human fleet, energy fields shimmered into existence. The Zarkonians' first volley of weapons fire splashed harmlessly against them. On the Zarkonian flagship, Admiral Vextor watched in disbelief. "Impossible. Their shields are stronger than ours." But the Zarkonians weren't easily defeated. They had ruled the galaxy for millennia, and they wouldn't give up without a fight. The space around them lit up with weapons fire. Human dreadnoughts unleashed salvos of missiles, while Zarkonian cruisers fired energy beams that could cut through planets. In the thick of the battle, Emily's star led the charge. Captain Chen's voice rang out across the comms. "Remember why we're here. For Earth, for Emily, for all of us." His words galvanized the human forces. Ships that had been holding back now surged forward, their crews fighting with a determination that shocked the Zarkonians. Back on Earth, billions watched the battle unfold on their screens. In Central Park, John and Sarah Johnson stood hand in hand, their eyes fixed on the holographic display. "Look at them go," John whispered, a mix of pride and fear in his voice. "Our people, out there among the stars." Sarah squeezed his hand. "Emily would be amazed," she said softly. As the battle raged, other alien races couldn't stay neutral any longer. The Droxy, impressed by human technology, sent their ships to join the human fleet. The Kelthor, sensing the tide of the battle, added their psychic powers to the human defenses. Emperor Zoxlar, watching from his palace, grew more enraged by the minute. "Send in the planet killers," he roared. Massive Zarkonian ships, each capable of destroying an entire world, moved into position, but humanity had prepared for this too. General Tanaka, now back on humanity's hope, gave a new order: activate Operation Firefly. Across the human fleet, thousands of smaller ships detached from the dreadnoughts. These were the Fireflies, specially designed to counter the planet killers. The space around the massive Zarkonian ships filled with darting lights as the Fireflies swarmed them. Using technology reverse-engineered from the Zarkonians' own weapons, the tiny ships began to dismantle the planet killers from the inside out. Admiral Vextor watched in horror as his mightiest weapons were reduced to drifting scrap. "Fall back," he ordered. "Regroup at the homeworld." As the Zarkonian fleet retreated, a cheer went up across the human armada. They had won the first battle. But General Tanaka knew this was just the beginning. "All ships, prepare to pursue," she commanded. "We end this now." As the human fleet moved to follow the retreating Zarkonians, news of their victory spread across the galaxy. On countless worlds, oppressed species looked to the skies with hope. The Volcari mediator, watching from the council chamber, spoke softly to himself. "The balance of power has shifted. The age of the Zarkonians is ending." On the Zarkonian homeworld, panic set in. For the first time in living memory, they faced defeat. Emperor Zoxlar raged at his advisors, demanding solutions, but they had none to offer. As the human fleet approached Zarkon Prime, General Tanaka prepared to send a message. But before she could, her communications officer called out, "General, we're receiving transmissions from all over the Zarkonian Empire. Colonies are surrendering. Slave worlds are rebelling. The Empire is falling apart." Tanaka nodded grimly. "Send this message to all Zarkonian forces. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly. Resist, and you will fall." As her words echoed across Zarkonian space, millions of aliens who had lived under the Empire's cruel rule for generations looked to the human fleet with awe and gratitude. On Emily's star, Captain Chen looked out at the stars, now filled with the lights of battle. "We did it, Emily," he whispered. "We changed the galaxy." But the war wasn't over yet. As the human armada surrounded Zarkon Prime, Emperor Zoxlar prepared for a final desperate stand. The battle for the heart of the Empire was about to begin. And on Earth, in what was once Central Park, John and Sarah Johnson watched the unfolding events with tears in their eyes. Their daughter's memory had sparked a revolution that spanned the stars. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. The battle had begun, but the war for the future of the cosmos was far from over. In the wake of the cataclysmic war that had engulfed the galaxy, a new order emerged from the ashes of the old. The once mighty empires lay in ruins, their fleets shattered, and their worlds devastated. The few survivors who remained looked to the future with a mixture of hope and trepidation, uncertain of what lay ahead. Among the chaos and destruction, a new power arose, the Galactic Alliance. Formed from the remnants of the old factions, the Alliance sought to bring stability and peace to the war-torn galaxy. Its leaders, drawn from the wisest and most respected of the surviving races, worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been lost. At first, progress was slow. The scars of war ran deep, and many were hesitant to trust in the promises of the Alliance. But as time passed, the benefits of cooperation became clear. Trade routes reopened, shattered worlds were rebuilt, and the first tentative steps towards a lasting peace were taken. Central to the Alliance's efforts was the establishment of a new galactic capital on the planet Nexus. Here, representatives from across the galaxy gathered to discuss the challenges facing their peoples and to work towards common goals. Diplomats and scholars, merchants and adventurers, all found a place within the shining spires of Nexus. But even as the Alliance worked towards a brighter future, shadows of the past lingered. In the far reaches of the galaxy, remnants of the old empires clung to power, refusing to submit to the new order. Pirates and warlords preyed on the weak, while ancient rivalries threatened to reignite the flames of war. To combat these threats, the Alliance created a new military force, the Galactic Peacekeepers. Drawn from the best and brightest of the member races, the Peacekeepers were tasked with maintaining order and security throughout the galaxy. Their ships patrolled the space lanes, while their agents worked tirelessly to root out corruption and crime. As the years passed, the Alliance grew stronger, and the galaxy began to heal. New technologies emerged, born from the collaboration of brilliant minds from across the stars. The once shattered worlds were transformed into thriving centers of commerce and culture, while the old hatreds and rivalries slowly faded into memory. But even as the galaxy entered a new era of peace and prosperity, there were those who looked to the stars with wonder and longing. They dreamed of new frontiers to explore, new worlds to discover, and new adventures to be had. And so, as the Alliance celebrated its triumphs and looked to the future with hope, a new generation of explorers and adventurers set forth to chart the untamed reaches of the galaxy, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The aftermath of the Great War had given birth to a new galactic order, one founded on cooperation, understanding, and the shared desire for a better tomorrow. And though the road ahead was long and the challenges many, the peoples of the galaxy faced the future with courage and determination, ready to build a brighter tomorrow for all.